Greetings and welcome back to the lab. If I look a little scruffy, it's because I'm a little scruffy. Quick update. This is going to be an overall catch-up video on kind of what's going on. And let me preface it by saying I'm okay, but I did take a pretty nasty fall. And suffice it to say, things are not working quite the way they should right now. For one, my fingers are not quite acting the way they should. Everything's on the mend. I'm going to be okay, but it slowed me down. I can't do 5 videos a week. That was getting out of hand. I was spreading them across multiple channels, just so you know. I've got my main channel, and I've got this channel. My main channel is Ed Michael 99, but this channel is the BitNotes Designs, and I've also got the I'll remember it in a second. But I moved all of the design stuff over to this channel, or I'm in the process of doing that. And the tutorials, they take some work to script it out, and I was literally about to work on the script for the next video when all of this happened, and that was a little over 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to try and get this one edited and up to tonight so you can see kind of what's going on. I don't think I'm going to cross-post it to all the channels because this is really mostly about the design channel right now. The plans as they stand are that I'm going to try and get more of the older videos from the main channel re-edited and uploaded here. And what I'll do is in the description, I will put a link to the back to the main channel to the original video. So you'll see at the beginning of each of these videos that it says original release and edited and re-released. The re-releases, I'm trying to cut them down on time. But if it's not enough information for you, feel free to go back and see what I did originally. Beyond that, what I've been up to, since I'm good for 5-10 minutes, and then like after this video I'm gonna have to take a rest, but I've been coming up with more ideas for design, so there is more stuff coming. There's the old stuff that's being sort of rehashed for you so it's in the right place, and then there's some new stuff. And speaking of new stuff, grab our first package. I've got a couple that have already arrived, and if I've done this right, I've got the order thing correct. This should be a circuit board, but a rather unique one. And what I'm thinking here, since I've been giving away all of my designs, and that's another thing, is my forum that I set up over on bitnotes.com, which is bitnotes.com/bnprojects. I'll put it right up here, right up at the top of the screen here. And I will link it down below in the description. So please go take a look at the description, because what's going to be happening with a lot of these videos is, since I'll be giving away, releasing the plans for all my designs so that people in other areas who can't, for whom it would, or for if I tried to sell it, the problem is the shipping. Most of these are low-cost projects. I try to do everything on a budget, but then the problem is if it costs, if it normally costs $5 to sell it, but it costs $20 to ship it to you, it doesn't quite seem right. So I've started putting everything up on that forum so you can download the plans and have them manufactured for yourself and figure out whatever shipping option you want. So this one is probably going to be the only merch, or it's going to be the first merch that I sell. And if this works out right, I'm going to put it up on my eBay store, and I'll put a link to that also down in the description. So let's see if it came out right. Okay. This is the first time I'm trying to do a circuit board with a heatsink on the back, which isn't really intended to be a heatsink in this case. So the idea with this one is I wanted to have the aluminum or aluminium, if you want, on the back and a ruler on the front. So there should be 10 of these here. I was wondering how thick they were going to be. These are roughly the same thickness as my other ruler, but it's a smaller ruler. And I don't want to make a promise as to what this curve is about here, but if it works out, I'll probably do an update. So let me move these to the side. You see, yeah, they managed to put I'm having a grip problem here. Let me grab my knife and point. They managed to put a batch number on here, but if I have these made for support, that's why I was mentioning the form and the fact that I'm giving stuff away. This stuff does cost me money to put together. Coming up with the ideas is free. Doing the engineering, doing the design work, that's free. That's just my free time. But actually having it manufactured does cost some money. So if I do release this, which I probably will, and put it up on the eBay store, you will have my logo, and you will have the BND Ruler 1.0. And so you've got metric on the top and inches on the bottom, imperial. So let's see if this actually lines up correctly against another ruler. That's looking pretty good to me. There's also a couple of other features, and maybe I'll do a separate video. Let's see if the inches matches up properly. We'll get that to line up. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So, you know what, I'll just tell you, the extra lines here for the millimeters, it goes after the 80, it's 1.1, then 2.2, then 3.3, then 4.4, then 5.5 millimeters beyond that. So the thinking was if you took two of these, you could theoretically put them side by side and literally read in tenths of a millimeter. I'll kind of leave it to you how to do that. But if you see the idea, so down here, I've got this in, if I remember right, I've got it in mils. So it's 11 mils, 22 mils, 33 mils, something like that. And the idea being that you can get tenths of an inch. Actually, now that I think of it, yeah, that would have been then just 10 mils, no, 100 mils, 200 mils, 300 mils, 400 mils, 500 mils. And so the idea there was that you can get in tenths of an inch, not just in inches. Granted, this is not a full 12-inch ruler or a full meter stick. It's intended to be small and to like fit in your pocket. And if you need to take some measurements of something small, like, for instance, if I grab one of my LEDs here, a couple of things. One, I believe this is a 5 millimeter LED. Let's stick it in the 5 millimeter hole and find out. So this is drilled, right? Yep. It won't go through, but it does slip in. So that's a 5 millimeter. Now, if I try to put it, I've got 5, I've got 3, I've got 2.5, 2, 1.8, 1.5, and 1. So if you want to check the diameter of certain things, you can do that. Also, the reason there's a step back here on both cases is it's hard to measure the actual diameter of things. So I figured if you could put it in a corner, you could see, as long as it's circular, this is going to come out at 5 millimeters. That's from the 10 back to the 5, but hopefully you get the idea. So it's supposed to be somewhat useful. It's supposed to be somewhat rigid, and it does seem to be rigid. And I'm actually quite happy with what I'm seeing here. And now that I think of it, I'm not sure if there was even any. There's supposed to be a layer of aluminum and a layer of fiberglass circuit board material. So this is what they use when they're building LED lights and stuff like that, if you want to dissipate the heat from some of the high power LEDs. Let me see if I can use one of these to measure the thickness of the other. Like I said, I'm having a bit of a problem with grip. If I look at this, yeah, it's supposed to be 1 millimeter of fiberglass, and it's coming out to about 1.5, 1.6 millimeters total. So that's reasonably thin, and I'll leave it to you. That has something to do with the curve. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to work. I'm going to have to test my idea in another video, but that is that particular product. So let's see if I can put this aside, put this away. The other thing I can also use this for is just when I'm shooting my videos, if I have one of these sitting here, this is my white balance card. So just another thought for you. And let's pull this out because it should have something to do with the next one. And we'll take a couple of screws off. Whoops. All right. There's the reason I took that off. Because I have another package that just arrived. If I'm not mistaken, it will be related. If I am mistaken, it's a much smaller box than I'm expecting for the next one to come in. And that is a whole new project that I will talk about in a moment. And it is sort of related to what's going on here. So this should be a 3D print. And it is taped. I think I only ordered one. Yep. I really could have ordered more than one, but I only need one right now. So let's see if we can dig in here. Find this. Pull it out of the extra bag, get rid of some of the packing material around here. And can you kind of guess what this is? This took some effort, but I have a better screen for my TV project. This is a bit more realistic to what a TV screen would look like. I'm kind of looking at it closely, realizing it's not totally smooth, but I could probably sand some of that out. Now, the beauty of this is this just pops out, and I use the same dimensions for the new one. This one is totally flat. I was trying to figure out how to give it that curve that you see in a classic CRT TV. And let's see if this works. Yeah, that may be a little hard to see, so let me, I'm just going to hold it and zoom in for you. And hopefully you can see it shouldn't slide around, and it doesn't. It should be pressure fit, but it kind of feels a little loose. So perhaps I need to go back and readjust this one before I put it up on the forum. But if I then put this, oh, nuts. The wire has come off. All right, well, I'm just going to ask you to use your imagination on this one, or maybe I'll put it together and put a picture at the end of the video so you can see. But these are the projects. That other project that I mentioned, I'm just going to put this in here, is because I've been having grip issues. I was trying to think, what could I do to kind of solve this, where I've got to be able to do individual fingers and like that. And I thought, what about a finger exerciser? One thing led to another. I ordered up the main design on that one, and I'm waiting for that to come. It has shipped. It hopefully will be here in another 3 or 4 days, and hopefully like in a week I can get you a video on that one. But the other thing that occurred to me, it's got 4 buttons on the side and 1 on the top. What does that kind of remind you of? I mean, a number of different things probably, but I'm thinking game controller. I'm thinking with 4 buttons, up, down, left, right, and 1 on the top for fire, I could build my own Atari 2600 controller, basically the equivalent to a joystick. So that's among other things. You could also put in, there's enough of a cavity in this thing. You know what? I'll throw a half render up on the screen and I'll let you use your imagination. But the idea with this one is that there's a cavity in the middle, and with that cavity, you can fit a battery in here. You could probably put a wireless charging thing in the bottom of it. So you could then just sit it on a charger, a wireless charger, or be, got one built into your table or whatever. So that's a possibility. The control circuitry for an Atari 2600 is almost nothing. It's real simple. But other things, you could turn it into a musical instrument. You've got those 4 buttons and the one on the top. In theory, you could get 32 notes out of it. Now, of course, that would mean that with no hands on it, it would be giving you 1 tone. So it's really 31. But that's more than you need for a couple of octaves of music. So that could be an interesting little one-handed musical instrument, or you could make 2 of them and do two one-handed. You get the idea. Bass and treble, okay? The 2 hands that you'd have on a piano, whatever. So that was just kind of an idea. And then there's one more in the works that I don't really want to say too much about, but I'm pretty excited. And it's been something nice in the evenings as I'm trying to relax. I can get a couple of minutes in here, a couple of minutes in there, and try and piece this thing together in 3D. And then I'm going to have to figure out a whole bunch more things. There's going to be a whole other series on this one. And I think there's going to be some people that are going to really like it. So that is what's going on around here. I'm probably only going to be releasing like 1 video a week, unless it's a really short video, in which case I can process it quickly. I need to get back to the point where I've got my grip and where I can walk again. I can walk, but I can walk properly. I need to go through the exercises and all the rest of that. So, yeah, that's where I am. Sorry, this is probably kind of a long video, but that's the update. That's why I'm not posting so much right now. I will get back to it. I will figure out how to get back to it. I will figure out how to get myself back up and running. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Be careful. I'll see you next time.